Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Heinz Company. If you're starting a do-it-yourself project this spring, this summer, start the thing with the right materials and right tools. Build energy efficient, build cost efficient by turning to East Tennessee's century-old leader in building materials. That's A.G. Heinz Company. 4 generations they've been doing it. From great-granddaddy to granddaddy to daddy to now sons and daughters over there. A.G. Heinz Company. Go out and see them in downtown Knoxville. They're easy to find because it's on Heinz Street, naturally. That's what happens when you have a 100-year-old business. They name the street after you. All right, I want to welcome in the next member of our panel right over here, Ryan Callahan from GoVols247.com. Ryan, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm going to start with you because we were talking in that last segment about the Art Briles system didn't churn out a lot of pros. There are questions about Josh Heupel's system. He pushed back a little bit this week. Draftees, yes. Huge stars, not yet. Could this become a problem for Tennessee in your view, or no?
I think way down the road. I think we're talking 5 years from now. This is something they really might be battling if they are a top 10 program at that point, because this is the thing you have to take the next step in to get past Georgia, to get past Alabama long term, not just on a one-year basis. So can they continue to do well with this knock occasionally, still being out there? Absolutely. They're going to keep recruiting good players and get them and succeed probably. But if you want to take this to a national championship contending level every single year, I think you eventually need some guys like Hendon Hooker, like Jalen Hyatt, to go to the NFL and be good. And you need to put more guys in the first round consistently to sort of put this narrative aside eventually.
David, I think you hit it on as we were going to break, and I think I'm going to let you say it because we share the same view here. Your thoughts on how problematical this is for right now for Tennessee and Josh Heupel?
Secondary. I think, the biggest problem for Tennessee for a long time was they can't win games.
Yeah, that's a much bigger issue.
They won some ball games. That's a bigger issue than our guys are getting drafted high, but they're not succeeding. That's a great problem to have, quite frankly. So, I think where this can hurt you is with the Arch Mannings of the world, the big time guys. And the thing that you can have to sort of negate that is NIL money, right? You've got Nico in the fold, number 2 overall prospect. Well, he clearly sees the light and he wants to come here and play. Now, if you have a guy who's locked in on I want to go to the place that gives me the best chance to be an NFL player, and maybe that rules out Tennessee, but that's not every guy. If you've got quarterbacks that are throwing for 40 touchdowns and 4,000 yards and 2 1,500-yard receivers every year, that's going to be attractive to a lot of people. Now, maybe not the ones that are dialed on the NFL, but you can still win a lot of games with guys who maybe don't have that mindset.
Yeah, and there are only 2 or 3 programs out there that are just these pro pipelines that people go there simply because, well, I'll sit for a year and then I'll start to play my second year, and by my third year I'll be a starter. But I know Nick Saban, Kirby Smart is going to get me ready, so I'm going to go there. It's not like there are tons of programs across the SEC that do that. So to me, and I said this once, I don't want to be too callous about it, but if you're a Vol fan, yeah, you want your players to do well, that's great. Yeah, it could help with recruiting and you could sell your program. What do you care? Give me the wins. I want the wins here. If you're getting the choice between a 5-7 team that puts a bunch of guys in the pros or an 11-2 team that none of the guys turn out to be great, I'm going to go with 11-2, and I think most fans would agree with that. Your thoughts on how big of an issue could this become? Do you see it becoming an issue, or are you not worried about it?
So I see it as a factor, but I don't see much worry because I trust that the offense is going to produce, going to put up points. They're already doing that before the NFL results, and they are putting guys in the league. My bigger concern from a recruiting standpoint would be, can you get the offensive linemen, the big guys up front? They just put Darnell Wright in the top 10 of the draft and helped him develop, and he was a 5-star player, so you can go sell that. This doesn't affect their ability to recruit on the defensive end. That, to me, is a bigger deal. But I trust that Josh Heupel is going to produce on offense. I've already seen him, despite these questions, land Nico at quarterback, Jake Merklinger, who is a 4-star commitment in the next class with Nico on campus. So I think Tennessee will recruit at a higher level than Baylor did and have enough talent where some guys will succeed in the NFL.
I think it's a small concern because how good was Cedric Tillman? 8 catches in 3 years, and then he had a 1,000-yard season. I think that this offense will get production out of the receivers regardless of whether they're a 5-star or 3-star. Now, do you want 5 stars? You do.
Sure.
But I think that you're going to be productive. I think that's been proven that what they've been able to do. And I also do think it's attractive for a receiver, even though they may not be doing great in the NFL or be a high draft pick. I can go to Tennessee and catch 70 or 80 balls. I love that offense. It's fun. I'm going to get a lot more possessions. I'm going to be productive. I think that can overcome or mitigate how high you're drafted or how successful you are in the NFL.
I do. I would also add, along those lines, going into, when he was leaving Virginia Tech, there was no one across the country that had Hendon Hooker in the future NFL star list, the
Heisman
future
Trophy
NFL
candidate.
draft pick. He wasn't even on that list. This was a guy who was just a guy. So the idea that, well, this could hurt your recruiting and you've got to have 4 and 5. No, that's the beauty. You finally went and got a coach who doesn't need 5 stars. Do you want them? Yes, but you went 11-2 last year. Not a ton of 4 and 5 stars all over your roster. I mean, not compared to the Alabamas and the Georgias and some of those the LSU's teams you beat. So to me, I'm not particularly worried about it. I think it's overblown. I get it, but it's not a big concern in my book. Ryan, I'll let you close out.
I would argue, too, that Josh Heupel's point about 5 guys getting drafted at receiver in 3 years, that means more in the long run than getting guys drafted a little bit higher. So his system is producing, I think, more draft picks, more guys that are going to get by on their production in college. Yeah. And to the point that it's maybe docking those guys a round or a half round in the draft, not a big deal compared to the guys it's producing that are benefiting more from his system than it's hurting them.
All right, very good. You want to throw something in?
No, it's win ball games.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Despite the lack of legit pro players that came out of Baylor under Art Briles, his last 5 years there, once he got it rolling, 10-3, 8-5, 11-2, 11-2, 10-3. Vol fans are like, no championships right there. Okay, yeah, I get it. But if you're Tennessee after the last 20 years and you got 10, 11, 11, 10 in a 5-year span, I think most people would be wise and take that.
And it's worth noting, Texas and Oklahoma, far more talented in that span, and Baylor absolutely tortured both of those teams.
There you go. All right. When we come back, another mock draft, and Joe Milton isn't in its first round. Will he be another Anthony Richardson, or is that a bad comparison? We'll discuss that next. Come on back on the Sports Source.